I'm Jane Applegath. This is the Epic Vision Zone, where bold ideas meet extraordinary leaders. What if the overwhelm so many women feel at home isn't a matter of personal failure, but a matter of system failure? And what if the mental load of endless to-do lists and tasks could be simplified so that you could reclaim your most empowered self? Lisa Woodruff is a pioneering educator, an entrepreneur, author, and the visionary founder of Organize 365, where she's redefining what it takes to run a modern household productively. As host of the top rated Organize 365 podcast, Lisa shares effective strategies to reduce burnout and clear mental clutter to help women design a life that energizes them. She is the creator of the Productive Home Solution program and the widely loved Sunday Basket system. Named Cincinnati Female Entrepreneur of the Year in 2024, Lisa has been featured in the New York Times, Fast Company, Success Magazine, US News, and many more. Drawing from her own quicksand years, her doctorate and research in applied psychology, Lisa's new book, Escaping Quicksand, explores why so many women feel buried beneath the invisible labor of modern home life. Her mission is to bring academic rigor to the study of household management, helping women to rise above overwhelm to empowerment where they truly become the CEO of their home and time. Welcome, Lisa. Thank you for joining us here today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Well, as I was chatting with Lisa just before we got on, I'm very interested in this topic, and it's something that I have not seen before. And given Lisa's background, something that I'm sure is extremely needed in today's world. So I'm interested in getting started. So this is such an interesting and little explored topic, Lisa. What inspired you to delve into the subject? Or in other words, what became your quicksand story?
Well, first of all, I'm just old. I think the longer you live, the more life experience you have, and the more you can look back on the decades that have passed. And I think we owe it as women who are in our 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s to take some time and look back at like, how could we have made that easier for ourselves or the women that are coming behind us? So in my 20s, I taught and we adopted our kids. In my 30s, I raised our kids and I was a stay-at-home mom. And then as I started my 40s, I realized that I needed to earn more money. I needed to spend more time at home. I needed to have more agency over my time and everything else related to me because I was failing at everything in my life. Life had gotten too complex. I was down at the bottom of the pit of despair, and I realized it wasn't rock bottom. It was quicksand, and I was actually sinking deeper and deeper, and I was afraid it might just swallow me whole. And so as I started my 40s, I started to organize 365, organized our home, started an in-home professional organizing company. And along the way, I realized that, we don't have any systems in households. Every single woman is creating them from scratch. So as a teacher, I created systems, created a school to get you organized. And then as I was turning 50, I realized, in order to make a lasting change, you must enter academia. Because it doesn't matter how good the professional organizers are, designers, all the people that have great products today, they aren't in academia. So as far as organization goes, in academia, we go all the way back to Cheaper by the Dozen. And that was the 1940s and 50s, Lillian Gilbreth. But after her, we don't have organizers who have the academic rigor behind them. And so what that means is we're making an impact in our generation, but it won't extend beyond our generation. And so I'm now taking the time to apply that academic rigor to what I know is already working to see if we can get that to substantiate beyond our generation.
Fascinating. Oh, I could see that. And like you said, it's the experience in your background that you saw so clearly how it could apply to systems in the household. Well, in your book, Lisa, you talk about the household CEO mindset, which I love that expression. Tell us about that and the mindset shifts that you had to make to escape the quicksand.
Yeah. So in my 40s, I started Organize 365 as an in home professional organizing company and then patented and started manufacturing my products. And I have a team. And so I'm a CEO. And I started to realize that what was making my business successful when I applied those same principles to my household made my household more successful. And for a long time, I resisted that. I was a stay at home mom for a decade. And so I resisted putting corporate principles into the household. But I realized that without the structure of weekly planning, quarterly planning, having long range goals for yourself and your family members, I was just having Groundhog Day every single day, just going through and doing the same actions, making in the moment decisions, not with the best data or the best long range plan in mind. And so when I started applying CEO principles, I realized, oh, I need to do less at home, but with more purpose.
Yeah, that is the key right there. I mean, it's true. We get caught up in the day to day, and then things pop up as you and I discussed earlier, and then before you know it, a month, 6 months, a year have gone by, and things are always the same. They're chaotic. There's nothing organized. But when you plan, it's true. Even with your meals, I find that that's
Mhm.
women and moms especially say one of the biggest things they struggle with is meals. And I always say, because
Yeah.
even though it's my husband and I, we plan our meals. We cook on the weekends. Yes, it takes work, but you know what? It takes that strain and stress off during the week. So absolutely, I could see that how that would work and fall into place. Well, one of the most powerful ideas in your work is the concept of the invisible load that women
Mhm.
carry. How does that affect us, and why call it invisible?
So this is something that's being studied in academia, this invisible load, the making the decisions, the scheduling, the planning, the ensuring, the making sure, the remembering, the reminding,
Mm.
all those things that we do to make sure that the household goes off without a hitch. That is the invisible load. And I see this from a couple of different lenses. First of all, I think that as you grow in your household management experience, you get better and better cognitive resources to remember things and to encode things and have better perspective memory. That's what I'm studying in my dissertation. But you then get to a point where you're overloaded. There's just not enough bandwidth for you to do everything that you need to do. And that's when we need to have spouses or outside help come in and help us in these really busy seasons. But all the work is invisible. So by the time you're overloaded and you need help, it's really hard to articulate the help that you need. Like it's hard to have someone come in and do doctor's appointments for your kids or go through all the different apps of all the different sporting things they have, or go through all of your finances for the year and do your taxes for you if they don't know all the different places to log in. And so this invisible load is invisible, but if we can treat it like a business and start to go like, oh, you know what, we pay taxes every year, we celebrate Christmas every year, we, like all these things that we do on a regular basis, just like you would plan for them in business, plan for them at home. Because in business we have this one benefit that we don't have at home, and that is there is a start to a new work week. Even if you work 7 days a week, Monday is always the start of a new work week. But at home, we work 24/7. So if we can create this planning time that will divide and start a new week, then we could start to make iterative change and see if it can really reduce our overall burden.
Hmm. That makes so much sense. I mean, why
Yeah.
haven't we done this before? It's like, duh.
I know why.
Right?
Well, because we're all
Okay.
doing it. So we're all doing
Yeah.
it. And also, by the time you're out, if you have kids, you're out of the parent years, you're like, whew, thank goodness. And like, you're just on to like, finally, time for me. I'm going to do something for me. And you don't look back and say, how could I make that easier for the 20, 30, 40-year olds coming up behind me? How can we help
Mm.
them by putting some systems in place?
Yes. Yeah, that's it. That's the key, right? You said why
Hmm.
by the time you've gone through it, you're just done with it. But this is
Hmm.
fantastic. I'm so glad it's come to you, and it's something that you are now teaching others. And interesting that you
Yeah.
mentioned now it's time for me. How have you
Hmm.
redefined self-care, that being the case?
Yes. So when I was in school getting my PhD, I have an early childhood degree, so I know about adult child developmental stages. So I really loved my developmental class, and I was like, great, now I'm ready to learn about adult stages. Like, what are the stages I've been going through as a woman? How can I plug this into what I have learned in my work? And there really aren't any. There really aren't any. Eric Erickson has a few, but they're not, like, menopause isn't a phase. Puberty is a phase, but menopause isn't. I'm like, okay, well, we don't really have good data here in academia. But as I was in that class, I got this picture of the St. Louis Arch in my head. And I was thinking about how we have really good childhood developmental stages. And when you look at adult developmental stages, it's the decline. Like, when do you need people to come in and care for you? And you need to support your parents, your grandparents. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. We understand childcare and we understand elder care. We know what that means. Okay, well, then from 18 to 88, that's self-care. You are supposed to do for yourself what your mom and dad did for you, or you do for your parents and your grandparents. So that would incorporate, of course, you need to be fed, your clothes need to be laundered, you need to have a clean place to live, you need to have a dwelling. But everybody already has that. So what do we do in childcare and elder care that we are not doing for ourselves in self-care? And it is me getting my PhD. Like, you wouldn't say to children, we're not going to send you to school. You wouldn't say to elders, we're not going to have any extra activities to stimulate your brain. Like, we would have educational resources. We would have movement resources. We would have spiritual and emotional support. We are responsible for that from 18 to 88. Your own educational, spiritual, emotional, and relational needs, in addition to the basic caregiving needs that you need, and permission for us to actually do those for ourselves, to really think about, what do we want our nutrition to be? What do we want our movement to be? What do we want our educational goals to be this year?
I love that. Oh my gosh. That in itself is an entire topic, Lisa. Just never, I hear about people retiring and it's like, well, you're just going to shut down? I mean, basically, that's what that word means. At least, that's how we see it. And it's like, you could always take classes, you could always, travel, you could always, but oh my gosh, to put this in your schedule, to put this in your program for yourself as self-care, because whenever we hear self-care, we think of, oh, we've got to go get a massage. We have the right to get a pedicure, manicure, mani-pedi, that kind of thing. We don't think of self-care as feeding our education or our minds, or feeding, like you said, our movement. I love that, because I am a lifelong learner, like I believe you are. And obviously, and that keeps you alive. That keeps you in the realm of curiosity and creativity. And that's what sparks energy. I mean, I could feel your energy. I mean, you're just, it's exciting, right?
Yeah. And I think, as a stay-at-home mom, I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. All I ever wanted to do was get married and have children. It was the best decade of my life. But I realized as I was getting into my 40s, like, while I still wanted to be an active mother, and thank goodness I'm still a married wife, I also have needs. And that I wanted to be able to use some of our time, talent, and resources for what I wanted to use. And I spent a lot of money. My husband and I spent a lot of money on a lot of lessons and classes and sporting things that our children are not professional at today. But, that was seen as good money. Like, if you spend money on your children, like, it's good to have them in these $80 a month swim lessons. But if a woman wants to take a couple $100 and buy a planning system for the household, like, why do you need that? You should just be able to do that on your own. You shouldn't need any outside resources. You should be able to, like, rub two sticks together, make fire, and there's magically this 8-course meal on the table. Like, we don't give ourselves the grace, the resources, the time, the finances to develop ourselves as women. And then we get to the point in our 40s and 50s where we're like, well, I'm going to take it. Like, I'm going to take some of this back. Like, I'm depleted. I need some stuff. And then we don't know how to fill our cup again. That's why I wrote the book, Escaping Quicksand, because how did I go from reactive and negative and overwhelmed and depressed to positive and proactive and profitable? And it was these mental mindset shifts that I made, realizing that it is okay that I'm going to go get a PhD just because I want to, for the significance of moving my work into academia, not for any financial gain or promotion or anything like that. Like, not for the normal reasons you get a PhD, just because I want to.
Yeah, I love it. Wow. I hear you. I'm with you 100%. I think that's fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing that. And now moving on to Swiss cheese. What is Swiss cheese organizing and why does it work? Why doesn't it work, actually?
So you maybe haven't done Swiss cheese organizing because you don't have children, but I think we all do a little bit of Swiss cheese organizing, children or no children. So Swiss cheese organizing is when you have a weekend and you're going to take back your home and you're going to get it organized. Like things have just gotten out of control and you are going to like reset that household. And for a lot of people, their household was never organized to begin with. So they're attacking it this weekend to get it back in order, but they also think that they're going to get the whole house organized. So they come in and they pick up the family room and they empty out the refrigerator and they clean off the kitchen counter and they go organize the garage and they run a bunch of laundry and they clean the house. And I'm like, yes, took back my house. Problem is, the next weekend, all those spaces are cluttered again. And so what I say to do is when you want to really take back your house and establish order where there hasn't been order before, is you need to go to these three spaces first: your closet, your bathroom, and your bedroom. And it may take you a month, 6 weeks to get these organized, but really reset your closet for the clothes that look good on your current body, make you feel great, that you want to wear out, get rid of everything else. Go through your bathroom, get rid of everything that is samples you don't need, anything that you don't actually use in your morning and evening routine, and go through your bedroom and stop living in the storage room, because we all do it. We just put stuff in our bedroom instead of putting it away, and have it be a place that really you want to go to bed at night and wake up in the morning, and live in those spaces organized. No one will ever see it but you and your spouse if you have one. But those spaces will impact your mind. They will impact how you feel to go to bed and wake up in organized spaces more than cleaning the family room, cleaning out the refrigerator, those kind of spaces.
Right. It's cleaning out your personal space. Yes. To
Mm-hmm.
create that, as they
And
would say, and go ahead.
it lasts. So it'll last. When you do that, it will last for months, at least up to 4 months, until you have to change out for the next season.
Right.
Yeah. And it's self-care. Like, what did your mom do? She sent you to your room. Go clean and organize your room. Like, you as an adult, go clean and organize your room like you did as a kid. You'll feel better.
Right. It's that mindset, like you said, is taking that
Mm-hmm.
time for your space, because your
Mm-hmm.
space is the most important. Because if you feel centered and you feel good when you go to bed, like you said, or wake up in the morning, then it sets your whole day. I mean, it
Yeah.
really does. And that's why your space becomes the most important. Well, you may have already answered this, but which household spaces should a woman start to escape quicksand? This is what you said, right? The closet, the bathroom, the bedroom, correct?
Yes. And then, yeah. And then go back to, I mean, you won't be able to handle it. You'll be like, I've got to get a handle on this kitchen, family room. Like, go back to the general living spaces. Then once you've like bolstered up your courage again, now dive into the storage room or dive into your information management and your paper. Some of these spaces that are really weighing on you, you've got all that stuff in the storage room because you might need it someday, but they're all delayed
Mm.
decisions that need to be made. So put on your big girl panties and go on in there for, 4 or 6 weeks. And then again, come back out. Information management, hugely important. You kept all that paper because you might need it someday. 85% of it you don't need, but the 15% you need, you need. And once you become the power of attorney, power of healthcare, or settle a family member's estate, you'll start to really realize, oh, this is a big gift that you're giving yourself and your future family members by getting your paper organized.
Right. Yeah. I love what you said, information overload, because
Yeah.
it weighs on your mind. I mean, even though you
Mm-hmm.
haven't gotten to it, especially women, I think men are more
Yes.
prone to just put it by the wayside or not even notice it. And yet,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you, but it will drive me crazy. It's like, oh, I can't stand this, okay, I got to do it now, you know, and that
So
weighs
in a
on you.
oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and in a male-female relationship, what happens is one person usually is in charge of the information, often the woman. And so the man uses the woman like Google. Hey, where is this? Do we have this? Can you find this? And so when the information is organized into binders, then women will tell me over and over again, like, when did you finally feel organized? It was when I was on the road or with my mom or traveling, and my husband asked me for something and I could tell him exactly where it was. He went and he got it, and I did not have to turn my car around and go find it for him. So that, like, yes, we are the Google of our home. And so when you can externalize these things into binders or the Sunday basket, then yes, you maintain your information, but also becomes usable for the rest of your family.
Mm. Brilliant. Well, in fact, you've segued right into the next question, which is the Sunday basket system. So tell us about
Mhm.
that. It's very popular, and how you discovered it and the benefits of practicing it.
So the Sunday basket system is weekly planning. Like it's a system for weekly planning in the household. I discovered it 24 years ago when my kids were babies and I was overwhelmed and I couldn't get anything done. And I took all the kitchen counter papers and I divided them out into different slash pockets and I put them in a basket. And I started to realize that on that Monday, I then had divided all my tasks by how they needed to be done, like phone calls to make, bills to pay, things to be ordered. And I was able to make progress on my to-do list because it wasn't just a never-ending list. It had everything that I needed all
Mhm.
organized to get started. Now, 20 years later, it's like it's school supplies. So we literally mail you a box with the slash pockets. It has a course, it has a co-working time, and it's where we as household managers spend 90 minutes to 3 hours each week really thinking through all the decisions that have come across our desk, making our decisions, planning for the next week, setting out the plan, and then running again and again. The focusing question of the Sunday basket is, can this task wait until next Sunday? And that focusing
Mhm.
question allows people to continue to defer things that could be done this week to a future week in order to open up cognitive and space capacity in their week in order to get more tasks done or be available for the unexpected that always happens. Just like in
Mm.
business.
Right. Yeah. Run your household like a business. And I love that you said
Yeah.
open up space, because yeah,
Mhm.
it's like we just said, it's like static running in the background, and it's
Mhm.
always there if you're not, you know, you don't purposely tune into it, but it's there, and that's the distraction
Yeah.
for sure. Taking up space in your
Mhm.
mind and your body for sure. I love that. So
Yeah.
you just mentioned the to-do list, and you say to ditch your to-do list and now use index cards. Tell us about that.
Okay, now this is a little bit of a hop. People will be like, well, we're with you up until this point, Lisa, but we've got to have our to-do list. This kind of happened naturally over time for me with the Sunday basket. I had the Sunday basket and I also still had to-do lists that I was doing. And it was once I added on my business that I got rid of the to-do list because I couldn't manage home and work to-do lists. There was just too much to do. So I just started every time I had a thought, I wrote it on an index card and I threw it in that Sunday basket if it could wait till Sunday. And then I dealt with all those thoughts and to-dos and tasks on Sunday. The benefit of that was as I came across one that was done, I could just recycle it. I didn't have to keep rewriting the list. But when I had a
Mm.
lot of cards, I could manipulate them on the floor and I could even make a to do list from the cards to kind of figure out, well, if I only have so much time, which things really are going to rise to being done. And then the final thing about writing things on index cards as opposed to a to do list is when I used to write things on a to do list and I had, let's say, 30 minutes, I would go to that list and I would look for anything that could be done in 30 minutes or less. But a lot of
Mm.
times our projects may take 3 hours. So you need like a whole weekend in order to do taxes. That's not necessarily true. If you look at every individual task and you're like, okay, well, I have a half an hour, I could do 30 minutes of the taxes right now. Everything becomes available for that 30 minutes. It doesn't have to be a 30-minute or less task that you're checking off of a to do list.
Right. So my question here, and it's just going through my mind, Lisa, is it feels like there's a lot of work involved in this. What do you say to people? You know what I mean? I'm thinking, okay, we got to have a basket, and we've got to have different
I know.
different cards, and then you got to look at the cards, and then sort the cards, and then figure out how
Yeah.
much time it is for each task. And I'm just like, my brain is going, oh my god, this is a lot of work. Do you ever get that?
Yeah, I do. I do. And it is a lot of work. Congratulations. You are doing a lot of work. So, most people who start the Sunday basket started in their 30s and 40s when they literally have no time and they're forgetting things and they can't remember things. Their to do
Mm.
list and their mental to do list are no longer helping in them. And they're constantly failing, failing, failing at work and at life because they forgot the birthday party, they forgot this thing, they're 10 minutes late to that, and they're so overloaded that their cognitive capacity is no longer working. Our cognitive list is actually what we need to put on a to-do list, but then we're afraid to write a to-do list that long. So we just don't even write it down and we hope that we'll remember it. So yes, there are a lot of index cards, but also I just got a PhD while living with my grandkids and my daughter and running a company and like when you start to externalize everything that you need to do onto paper and don't use your brain to remember things or specific lists to remember things, then everything is optional and you can really sort. I mean, this is how I do strategic planning in my business. Like when we do our quarterly offsite, we take every single possibility that we could do in the company, we write them all down on index cards, and then you start to sort them. You're like, okay, we don't have the financiers for this. We don't have the resources for that. We don't have the team for this. We don't have the tech for that. And then you get down to like, okay, these are possible things we could do in our business. And then you're like, okay, well, you can't do 8 things. The most you can do is 3. All right, well, this one, if we do this one, then these 2 are unnecessary. Like this is how you do strategic business planning.
Mm-hmm.
This is how you should be running your household, because households are 68% of the US GDP. Households are small businesses. They should be run like small businesses. So yeah, it's a lot of work, but it has a huge impact. And once you learn these organizational skills and you apply them in every facet of your life, it unlocks an unbelievable amount of time and capacity.
Mm. I'm so glad I asked that question. That was fantastic. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. I mean, yeah, the benefits outweigh the task, but then once you get into the rhythm, it's not so doesn't seem so overwhelming. So yes, I could see that. And it becomes part of your routine. So, and I love that you gave us that example with work. Like you said, you know, okay, we can't afford this. We don't have the tech for that. These 2 are similar. We combine them. You do the very same with your household. Oh my gosh, it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I love it. So what is your definition then of household work, and how much household work does the average American family do, and why does this matter? I think you might have just mentioned it with the GDP.
So yeah, this is like my hill I'm going to die on. So there are thousands and thousands and thousands of academic studies done on housework. However, those studies, almost all of them, only look at married couples with children under the age of 18. So I'm sorry, but you have never been considered in any housework study that has been done. This is because we have a view that housework is gendered. Men do certain housework, women do certain housework. This came out of the 80s. Well, in the 80s, 42% of families were married with kids under the age of 18. Do you know the percentage of married families with kids under the age of 18 now?
No.
17.9%. So that means that 80% of Americans are not even considered in household studies. So in my family, my husband and I, our kids are over 18. We're not considered. My daughter is a single mother, not considered. Our son living on his own as an adult, not considered. My mom and mother-in-law, widowed, not considered. My sister never married in her 50s, not considered. Okay, so everyone I know is not in the housework studies because it's from a gendered lens. So my research practicum, I asked 1,000 Americans from 18 to 80, I don't care if you're married or not, do you think that these tasks that these studies consider as housework are housework, yes or no? And are they essential, yes or no? And the population said that it was only 19 tasks that they considered housework and that they were essential housework, and they came into 3 buckets: cleaning, anything meal related, and anything laundry related. But I did not have a significant finding, because the literature shows that men and women do different housework. So therefore, they must think differently about housework. 100% agreement from men and women on what was housework and what was essential housework, meaning that men and women have the same definition of housework. And all of these things that academic studies are studying as housework, like calendaring, household management, parenting, cutting the lawn, none of that is universal for all households. So every single household, from a baby all the way in the time right before you pass away, you need food, you need a clean place, and you need to have your laundry done. That is universal housework. Now, how long does housework take? According to academic studies, which are studying a lot more things, 36 hours a week.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is absolutely, you know, it does. It takes up a lot of time. And yeah, if you can reduce that, oh my gosh, like you said, your time management, it's just comes down to, you know, not just priorities, but like you said, being organized and figuring out your, well, not your to-do list, but your cards. Exactly. What needs to be done? What can be done? What can I what can I farm out? Like who could I hire to help me do this? Just like you said, in an office, do I need an assistant?
Mm-hmm.
What will save me time? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love that study. That is amazing. Oh my gosh, are we ever
Mm-hmm.
behind the times on that thing? Wow, really needs some work there. So you're bringing that to the forefront, which is fabulous. So how can we do less then? Walking straight into this.
Yes. So my goal with Organize 365, our mission is to help you get functionally organized in 1 to 3 years so that you have time to do what you're uniquely gifted and created to do. I have an organization company that unlocks your time capacity for your uniqueness. And my vehicle is organization. I don't want you perfectly organizing and reorganizing what you've already organized. So how can we do less? First of all, when your house is organized and you have operational systems in place, like the Sunday basket and our trimester planning, and you're starting to think about how your house functions like you would a business, you're going to make better decisions. It's not going to feel like Groundhog Day. It's going to be very exciting. And then also, when you are in really overwhelming situations and time frames, how can you do less? Like just thinking about how often do you vacuum your house? Do you want to vacuum that often, or is that just how often your parents vacuumed? What if you ate on paper plates for a year? I mean, I know it's not environmentally friendly, but it may be the thing that saves you from, losing your mind. Like there are a lot of things that we do because our parents always did it, or we feel like it's the thing that needs to be done, but maybe not. I mean, when my son was the last year I was driving him before he got his driver's license and my kids were going 2 different directions, for that school year, I took our laundry down and I had it done at the laundromat. And it was only $40 a week because I did the jeans and towels at home. And so, yeah, $40 a week is a lot of money, but it saved me so many hours not doing that. Like you said, that you do meal prep on the weekends. Doing meal prep on the weekends is going to save you so much time during the week. So this work isn't optional, but how we do it and how we make it efficient is optional. Just like you would do in business. Like you wouldn't say, well, we need to have 20 meetings a week because I have to talk to these 10 people. You'd be like, oh my gosh, that's way too much time and money. How can we get a better system? Do the same things at home. It's not paid work, but it does have a financial ramification.
Mm. It's not paid work, but it pays you back. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. And it pays you back in much bigger ways. You get your life back, so to speak,
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
feel, like you said, you feel accomplished, but then you have the time for what you refer to as self-care, which is education, doing your movement, whatever it is that you're looking to do after you've had the children, if that's the case. But you're
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah.
right. I mean, just because you don't have, the kids are out of the house, and it's not game over. It's like,
Right.
okay, now, yeah, let's
Game on.
explore. Oh, I love it. It is. It's game on. That's a great
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Great. Terrific. I love that. Well, Lisa, you have a podcast, a top rated podcast, Organized 365, and you have over 25 million downloads. Tell our audience about the show and why do you think it resonates with so many women today?
Oh, thank you so much. So I've been podcasting for about 10 years, and really it's like my classroom, but I'm just talking to a girl next door. Like I just think big thoughts, and I'm very analytical, and I wonder why we do what we're doing, and I just ponder all these things out loud, tell stories about my life and things that I'm observing in my household and other people's households and people that are in the Organized 365 community. And a lot of women will say, I say out loud the thoughts that they're thinking that they don't know how to articulate. And I think that is so helpful because once we can start talking about something, then we can collaboratively think about like, oh, is there a better solution to this? Where do we come up with that idea? Should we even hold on to that idea or not? And so it's just one big mental conversation about the lived experience of a woman.
Yeah. And that's a big one. That's a conversation. That's an endless conversation for sure.
Right.
So I, yeah, I could see the popularity. So that's available on all of the streaming services, iTunes, Spotify, you name it.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Well, we'll have to check that out. So tell us about your year-long productivity home solution program and the benefits that women receive from it.
Okay, so thank you so much for asking for that. The Productive
Sure.
Home Solution is an annual program. Everything you buy from Organize 365 is lifetime. I know that life's going to get in the way. You start a program, you don't finish it, then you give yourself more guilt. We don't have that. So once you get in a program, you're in that program, and we just keep going around cyclically. So one of the things I was able to do as an in-home professional organizer and researcher of households is understand that there's different energies at different times of the year. There are different places we naturally want to organize in different times of the year. And so I kind of mapped out all the spaces in your household, and I gave them a specific week. And then I recorded teacher videos about what I would say to you as a professional organizer if I was in your home organizing that space with you. And then you get that space organized. The first year you declutter and you organize a lot. When you do it again, you do more organizing and increasing productivity. And in the third year, you're really going into mastery, kind of changing your decorating and helping the people that are coming behind you in getting those spaces super organized.
Yeah, I could see why that would be years, because I noticed that it's a 1 year program, but it just, and are you with them, or is it something that you have a program online and they just go to it at their own time?
Yeah, so it's a program online. You can go to it at your own time. That way, if you want to go to a different area we're not in, no big deal. You can go there. And then Tanya on Thursdays runs a co-working group where she brings you in and gives some pictures in her house because she's in a different phase of life. And then I'll pop in there every once in a while and do a live and be like, hey, I'm going to do my storage room. I'll just kind of do it along with you. And we have an app. So there's a lot of conversation that goes along in those weeks as people are getting organized.
Oh, great. So it's like a community. I love it. Yeah. Everybody swaps stories and ideas. It's perfect. Absolutely. Women love to do that. So give our audience one easy tip that they can take away to start moving from overwhelm to empowerment.
Yeah, if I were to say one thing that can move you from overwhelm to empowerment would be to take some time and just sit down. You don't have to do index cards, although I would. You could do a list and just write down all the things you're holding in your head that you need to do, that you want to remember, that you don't want to forget, that are ideas that you want to do in the future. Like, just let that all come out of your brain and onto the paper, and then see what happens when your brain is actually ready to go beyond just being a mental to-do list and help you make synergies and think and dream about what is possible and what is next.
Yes, a brain dump. We need to declutter our minds. Yes, absolutely. I love that. So I would love for you to chat just a little bit about your book. I love the format, as I was telling you earlier. It's a really easy read, and I think it's something that everyone should have in their household.
Thank you so much. So the book is called Escaping Quicksand, in bookstores. It will be launching on June 23rd. It's available for pre-order right now. The pre-order bonus is that you get the audio chapters week by week. We're doing it in a live book club format. We have over 1,000 women doing it. It is so fun. So as you read or listen to the chapter, we then have a focusing question and we're all sharing. And what I love about that is by the time the book actually launches and you get your pre-order copy, you will have not only gotten the information, but you will have implemented it. And I'm big on significance in implementing. And Escaping Quicksand, I wrote it in my 50s, and it was the mental shifts I made in my 40s. You know, so often we see people who are like, how did you go from being reactive and overwhelmed to productive and in control? And we'll say, oh, I got organized, or I did this, or I did that. Like some of the things we think that we did as women. But a lot of it is mental mindset shifts that we made. And so I really forced myself to think about not the actions that I took, but what were the thoughts that I changed in my brain that produced the actions that I was able to take and stuck after I did them once I made the mental mindset shift changes.
Yeah, it is. It is so important, the mindset. I mean, and it's interesting that you wrote this in your 50s, and it's coming, it's being published today. But even more so, something that we need, because our world just keeps getting faster and faster. So this would be grounding, I feel. And I love that idea that you have people reading it and going and discussing it. So you'll have all that information available. In fact, give us an idea of the contact information and how best to get in touch with you.
Yeah, if you just go to organize365.com, there's a big banner at the top, or escapingquicksand.com, tell you everything about the book and how to get in the book club.
Oh, wonderful. Terrific. I love it. Well, Lisa, because we're here on the Epic Vision Zone, I have one last question. If your life were an epic story, what would the title be?
Mhm. Time manipulator frees her time for herself.
Oh, I love it. That's great. That's the perfect title, Time Manipulator. Oh my gosh, that empowers you. That really
Yeah.
does. I love it. It's a perfect title. Well, thank you again, Lisa, for reminding us that there is a path out of overwhelm and into a life designed with intention, confidence, and joy. And in Lisa's book, Escaping Quicksand, you'll find how to finally rise above the overwhelm and build a home life that reflects you and are one that you are becoming. So thank you so much for all of that information. And once again, for all of Lisa's contact information, go to the Epic Vision Zone bio pages where everything will be listed there. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Jane Applegath. Look me up at janeapplegath.com. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Epic Vision Zone. Sending you so much love, gratitude, and until next time, stay visionary, lead with love, and stay epic.